My wife and I have been together 3 years and married for 1. We have an infant. The relationship has been the best of my life and relatively smooth throughout. No red flags. Our child is healthy and happy. We're in a pretty great familial situation currently. We are blessed to have no real stresses or anxieties. We were at the grocery store, and my wife asked me not to purchase something because of the potential BPA in the item, a chemical that can leach into food and impact fertility. I joked that I didn't have issues with fertility since we had a kid as soon as we started trying, and I've been consuming that item regularly. Then she joked, "Well, maybe our kid's not yours." It took me a second to really process what she said, but I got very sad and upset once I did. I initially told her, "Don't joke about that, and why would you say something like that?" And I stopped talking the rest of the time at the grocery store. But once we got to the car, the idea had built up enough in my head that I told her I would get a paternity test immediately. "I'm shopping on Amazon for one right now." She pushed back and started going down several defensive vectors, from "why don't you trust me" to "is your reaction saying something about you I should be worried about?" To which I replied heatedly, "I understand the idea is ludicrous, but you suggested it completely out of the blue, and now it's out there. And there's no way to put this question away ever again, except to get a test." Finally, after a few rounds of this, she acquiesced and left me to look for a test. I trust my wife. She's a fantastic person, a successful professional, a great mother, etc. But I have never even fathomed that our child wasn't mine until she made what was in all likelihood the worst joke and retort in history. I wonder whether general trust in our relationship being very stable and happy outside of this mean I should just be taking my wife's word for it, even if she was the one that raised the issue. Am I overreacting? Am I the idiot? The escalation here is really fast to me. She makes a joke at the cash register, and by the time you get to the car, it's a major issue? That doesn't seem like you trust your wife, especially since you started this joking with the joke about your fertility. Her joking retort seems utterly normal to me. Your response to asking for a DNA test within maybe 20 minutes is not normal to me and may damage this supposedly great relationship. You are the idiot. Take some time to reflect on your reaction and communicate with your wife. You both need to have a conversation about this. Not the idiot. She made a bad joke and is stoked about of insecurity within you. The test is not harmful to anyone and will set your minds at ease. However, I find it strange that so many are saying wanting the test is a red flag. Why is it that men wanting to confirm paternity is so hard for people to understand? At this point, it should be a standard thing, instead of some taboo issue that only untrustworthy men ask for. He's accusing her of cheating on him because she responded to one joke with another joke. How is that not harmful to her? OP, you are the idiot. You fully admit your wife makes sarcastic and crass jokes. You cross into idiot territory demanding and performing a paternity test. You're lying about trusting your wife. How could one off-colored joke that you were both joking about suddenly dispute all trust when it comes to your child's paternity when there are zero histories of any serious marital issues? You don't get to claim you trust your wife while simultaneously claiming you have to check your child's paternity because she made a joke that rubbed you wrong. Once you go through with this test, you have officially on paper challenged your wife's faithfulness and honesty. You're already teetering on such a challenge, which is why she asked you if she should be worried about anything. I doubt you'll come back from the paternity test, but it sounds like you've allowed this joke to crack the entire foundation of your relationship. My sister, 27, and I, 24 female, are close. However, we are very different people. She took the college route, became a curator at a major museum, and is currently working on her PhD. I went to cosmetology school and am working towards opening my own salon. I was incredibly honored to be in her wedding party 2 years ago as a bridesmaid. It was wonderful, but I felt that I made several sacrifices when it came to her wedding. I kept telling myself that when it was my turn, she would return the favor. Unlike my sister, who was a huge planner and detail-oriented, we're very laid back. My sister had her wedding at her place of work, and being that her husband was an investment banker, they had a very lavish affair. We want a backyard wedding with a barbecue. We hadn't even gotten around to asking folks to be in our wedding parties. My sister and her husband were over for dinner last night, and the subject of my wedding was brought up, and my sister asked how things were going. I said probably not up to the same speed she was, but she's going to be right up there on the big day. She asked if that was an official ask to be in the wedding party. I told her yes, and sorry I won't be making little gifts as she did for me. She told me that was fine, but then she got quiet and looked at her husband. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that she would have to decline my offer. She said that honestly, she was a little weddinged out with being so heavily involved as a bridesmaid. She also said that in the next year, she had a lot going on with finishing her thesis, and surprised she was pregnant. She asked not to say anything, that they were planning to tell everyone at Christmas. She said she still wants to be involved, but on a smaller scale, and just as a guest, especially since she'll have a new baby. I told her she was selfish, and after everything I had to put up with at her wedding, she owed me. She looked angry and told me that was a lie. She said I was lucky she didn't ask me to step down because she knew it would break me, and she wanted me there beside her on her big day. I made her wedding about me. I told her to get out, and they'd be lucky if I decided to invite them still. My parents called me asking what happened, and I told them everything and told them to ask about the baby. Then apparently I made things even worse, and my parents wanted to come over to talk to me. You are the idiot. Your sister isn't obligated to be in your wedding just because you were in hers. This is not a time for payback. The fact that you insulted her and told your parents about her pregnancy, which she asked you not to do, shows what type of person you are. A selfish one. Is what your sister said true? Did you complain about that much at her wedding? You are the idiot. Your sister is being realistic. Whatever you had to give up for her wedding was likely inconsequential compared to you asking her to put her PhD and pregnancy or newborn aside to be in your wedding party. You realize it was your choice to be in her wedding party, right? At any point, you could have said no. Anyway, if that wasn't bad enough, you're the idiot for telling your parents about your sister's pregnancy. That was her one request, and you broke her trust. I hope she cut you off, LOL. I would not put up with a bridezilla like you. I met my fiancé online on a dating app. We've been together for 2 years now and got engaged recently. However, she keeps telling me that during the wedding she wants me to give a speech about how I met her while she was working at a coffee shop, and I was so attracted to her that it was love at first sight, and I immediately asked her to be my girlfriend. She says that this makes her look better and will make her look good to her friends if I say that she's so beautiful that I immediately asked her out. To clarify, she's saying I have to say that I asked her to be my girlfriend right at the counter without even having any sort of conversation with her first. The only problem is I feel very uncomfortable with this untrue version of events. I'm happy to say she's beautiful and that I really love her personality and that we had a great connection. Still, I'm uncomfortable with this portrayal of myself as some creep who asked a complete stranger to be my girlfriend. There are other lies that she wants me to go along with too. For example, I inherited a house from my grandparents, but she asked me to tell all her friends and family that I paid for it myself and bought her the house because she's so special. After I said no, she's been saying that I care more about other people's opinions than how she feels, and that she's reconsidering if she wants to be with someone who isn't on her side. Do I have a point, or does she? Just to be clear, my fiancé said that the reason she wants me to do the speech and tell people I bought her a house is so that her friends will envy her. She has already told her friends and family those things, but it's another thing to want me to actually talk about them and lie about these things. She knows that my friends and family know I inherited the house and met on a dating app, but she says I have to warn them not to say anything and pretend to believe me at the wedding. She gave me an ultimatum that we wouldn't get married if I didn't agree and hadn't talked to me for days. How can I get her to see the light? She cares what other people think. That's why you need to change the narrative. She's ashamed of the dating app and doesn't like that you didn't buy your own house. Also, giving an ultimatum? Really? Lie or die, basically. No offense, OP, but I think you need to consider if you want to marry this person seriously. These red flags are sprouting up everywhere. You are not the idiot. The truth will eventually leak out, maybe sooner or maybe later, and this won't just ruin her credibility, it will affect yours. While you may spin it as protecting her or making her feel good about it, that will ruin the relationship. My wife and I met online too, in a video game no less. We managed to make the whole thing cute during the wedding. Many people were impressed and amused with the whole relationship, even knowing the less cute version. She seems insecure, and the shame she holds about how you two actually met will harm your relationship in the long run. If not shame, then regret that it wasn't as romantic as she'd like. You're marrying her. I'd understand asking for a big gesture, but what is this? Who knows what other aspects she'll find embarrassing and force you to lie about? Your job, family, political beliefs, education, lifestyle? Dude, call your wedding off with this liar. She lies and lies. And then to hear she calls your inheritance a gift you gave her? It sounds like she's going to try and trap you. And when you file for divorce, take it all. Run now as fast as you can and don't look back. This ain't worth it to you, my dude. My fiance, 24 female, and I, 24 male, recently got engaged. So we started to pick out our wedding party. Yesterday, my fiance said she wanted her sister, 22, to be her maid of honor. Her sister lived with us for a while when she was going to college near our apartment. Due to certain issues with her school's housing, we agreed to let her stay with us, as it would only be for a semester. I had only met her a few times before this, but she seemed nice. However, once she moved in with us, that's where things started. She would say things like, "You would look good in that," or "I wish I could find someone like you." During the few months, it divulged into her accidentally walking in on me in the shower, spilling things on me so that I have to change clothes, saying that she should be in my fiance's shoes, and constantly making comments about my body. I told my fiance about these things multiple times because it made me uncomfortable, but she kept dismissing me. I also brought these concerns to her sister, but she kept playing it off as a joke. After that, nothing changed, but luckily she moved out once she could go back to the dorms. When my fiance mentioned that she wanted her sister as maid of honor, I said I was uncomfortable with that. I told her everything I've brought up before and said that her sister might try to ruin the wedding because of this huge crush, if that's even the right word, that she has on me. I also said that maybe I'd be okay with her being involved in the wedding in some other way, but I don't feel comfortable with her being that involved and so close to both of us. I said that it was her choice, but that is how I feel about it. So my fiance said, "I told you before this is how she is. I want to keep her as my maid of honor." Then I said, "What if you were uncomfortable around my brother, best man? Wouldn't you want him to be out of the wedding party?" She said, "Well, yeah, but that's your brother we're talking about, so it makes sense." For context, my brother is married with kids, and he is truly a nice guy. My fiance has met him plenty of times, and not once has he done anything that would make her uncomfortable, nor has my fiance brought up concerns about him. So I said, "What the heck is that supposed to mean?" And she said, "I mean, I just don't like him very much. It's nothing against him." So I told her that there is a double standard here. My brother could get kicked out of the wedding party for just my fiance not liking him, while her sister can't get kicked out of it for her practically harassing me. I said she understood that I want our wedding to go well, so I want us to enjoy ourselves without questioning if something goes wrong. She said, "I get that, but having my sister as my maid of honor would make me happy." I said that if she doesn't take my happiness into account, then I'm leaving. So as I was leaving, she told me that I was an idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And I would stick to this, OP. Your fiance is choosing someone who harassed you over you on your own wedding day. It's not practically, she did. Her behavior was repeated and quite frankly disgusting. I would make this the hill you die on because it indicates how your boundaries matter to her, or if they don't, she's signing up to put you first and foremost for the rest of her life. If she isn't willing to hold true to that now, why would you marry her? Forget about being an idiot or not. You just got a sneak peek at the rest of your life. Are you ready to always be the least important member of this relationship? She's telling you who she is right now. If you choose not to listen now, you don't get to act like the victim later. Not the idiot, except to yourself. You are exactly right. There is a double standard here. It doesn't seem like your brother has done anything wrong, while your future sister-in-law has. Actually, plenty of times at that. Your fiancé is not taking your concerns or happiness into account. People often dismiss men being harassed, which is not okay, and that is exactly what your fiancé is doing. Everything is about family for her, but she gets to decide for you when it comes to your family. You have every right to be concerned about this. Stand your ground, OP. I, 30 male, feel stupid for even asking. My sister, 29, and my wife, 34, did not have the best history. Before we met, my wife was my sister's landlady, and she was renting the room at the back of my wife's house 6 years ago. She got evicted less than 4 months after moving in because my sister did not pay her rent at all. Then she was taken to court for damages that cost way more than she put down on the security deposit. My sister did end up having to pay, but hated my wife for this. We met after this all went down, and I went to pick up my sister's stuff she left behind that my wife was decent enough not to have thrown out yet. We started chatting and really hit it off, so we started dating. 1.5 years later, she got pregnant with our son, now happily married, but my sister never took it well. We weren't as close before all this, but after becoming a traitor in her eyes, we didn't talk much. She hasn't even met my son, who's 3. My parents are trying to push for all of us to have a family Thanksgiving at their place. My sister never wanted to go because I'd be there with my wife, and she didn't want to see me. My parents never pushed it before because they didn't think my sister was fair, considering her issues with my wife were all things she did herself. This year they feel different since my sister broke up with her boyfriend of 6 years, and it's her first holiday without him. She, however, doesn't want to see my son or wife, so that's why they're asking to leave them at home. My wife doesn't have any other family, and I don't want her and my son missing out because my sister doesn't want them there. So it's not a problem for me to miss out on dinner with my wife, so my sister could have the company, and I stay home with my own family. My sister is blowing it out of proportion because she wants me there, but I'm being an idiot because she wants the whole family there. Parents are taking her side here because it's been a difficult year losing her boyfriend and job, so she wants just one family dinner for Thanksgiving. I get it's been tough for her. I'm just having a hard time seeing how it's selfish or being inconsiderate not to want to exclude my family. Not the idiot. It's been 6 years and your sister was at fault. Time to grow up and drop the grudge. And the fact that she would hold it against your toddler is ridiculous. If she wants her whole family there, she needs to accept that your wife and child are family, whether she likes it or not. Family doesn't always get along. She needs to deal with that or not expect you there. Your sister caused her own misery. She didn't pay rent and trashed the place, then got mad that there were consequences for that? And your parents are insisting you spend a holiday without your wife and kid because your sister, who brought this upon herself, still can't admit that she was in the wrong? Oh well, then stay home with your wife and kid. Don't let your sister or your parents guilt trip you. Not only didn't she pay rent for 4 months, she also apparently managed to damage the property so much that the security deposit also didn't cover it. That means that it wasn't a few smaller things, but some mid-sized to major damage within 4 months. Not the idiot, and sister should get over herself. She was in the wrong 100% back then. I wouldn't go without my partner. They need to realize that your wife is part of the deal, and your sister is just going to have to deal with it.